Did you know that in the United States, close to 400,000 children are living without a permanent family? Hi everybody, my name's Tracy Sugart, and I'm president of Premier Wealth Management. A cause that is really close to my heart are the many children that are stuck in the foster care system. My friend Brittany knows this story all too well. She was one of the more than 23,000 children who age out of the foster care system every year, with no support system and nowhere to turn. And sadly, many of these children end up homeless. Premier Wealth Management works to support various charities within our community. The Bethany House is a new organization providing help, housing, and hope to young women aging out of foster care. The inspiration for the Bethany House is Brittany Albert. Brittany was bounced around from family to family, state to state for years until she turned 18. And then, just in the nick of time, she met the Marino family. I want to introduce you to this amazing family and share more about their incredible story. So I'm here with Amy Marino and Brittany Albert, and we're talking tonight about Bethany House. And I have some questions I'd like to ask you ladies. The first one is, Amy, can you tell us a little about how you met Britt and how she became a member of your family, that kind of thing?
So I met Brittany through our youth group. I was a youth pastor at the time of the Refuge Youth Ministry, which was a ministry that ministered to kids who were at risk. And Brittany's grandmother came to our church and told me Brittany's story. Brittany was in foster care at the time, and the time came where Brittany's grandmother got permission from her foster parents to bring her to our youth ministry. And so that was how I first met Brittany.
And we can see that Brittany is really the inspiration for this program. Can you share her journey with us and how she came to be your daughter?
Do you want to start with yours?
My journey, like, all the way back? Okay, so, when I was little, both of my parents were unfit and they couldn't care for me anymore. They were incarcerated. And for the first few years of my life, hold on.
Oh, I love you.
I don't do this! Maybe more coffee. Okay, so for the first few years of my life, I spent time just bouncing back and forth from different family members. Like, I lived with my dad's mom and then my dad's sister, and this is hard. So I spent time bouncing around to my dad's mom and my dad's sister, and when I was living with my dad's sister, so when my aunt, my second grade teacher came to my house one day, and she said, we'd like to take Brittany. She could tell that there were some things not right at home, and my aunt was like, yeah, go pack your stuff. So I ended up going with my teacher, and it was great. I lived there for about a year, and then I was going to Rice Elementary, and school was over, so all the kids were getting on the bus, and I went to get on my bus. So I go to get on my bus, and my teacher, maybe you should talk.
So when Brittany was in the second grade, she was going to get on her school bus to go home, and right before she was ready to board the bus, her teacher came to her and said, you're not going to get on the bus today. There was a children and youth worker there to take her in her vehicle and take her to a new home, which also meant a new school. And so Brittany spent a few years actually bouncing around from family to family in foster care until she was 10. And when she was 10, a foster family took her in, and they decided to adopt her, which meant she was going to be moving to Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. And so you were in Oklahoma from
10 to, was it 17? From 10 to 17. I was adopted, and life was, I mean, we were adjusting. I didn't always get along with my mom, but I was really close to my dad, and he ended up passing. So life kind of spiraled, and I got into some things that I shouldn't have been into. Like, I started experimenting with drugs and stuff like that. And my mom was like, I can't handle this, and she sent me to Teen Challenge. And it was supposed to be a 12-month step program, and I was there for 2 years. And I always remembered, like, telling the staff, my mom's not coming back. She's not coming to get me. And graduated the program, came home, life was good for a little bit, and then I fell right back into drugs. And she told me we were going on vacation because I have family in Pennsylvania. So I was just like, oh, we're going to go visit my brother, and I'm going to go see my family. And she took me to my foster home, the former foster home that I was in. So I was just coming back, which wasn't abnormal. We used to visit them all the time. So she took me back, and we walk in, and it's like, hi, how are you? We go to sit in the living room, and things just kind of fell off. And my mom pulls a letter out of her purse, and she starts to read it to me. And it was basically like, I can't do this anymore. Yada, yada, yada. And she left. She had all my stuff in the back of the car with the blanket thrown over it, so I didn't even know. I had no idea. I was so blindsided.
So I met Brittany then in February of her junior year, being at CD. Her grandmother brought her to we had a fundraiser for the Refuge Youth Ministry, and her grandmother brought her there, and it was the first time I met you. And then about a month later, her grandmother brought her to the youth ministry, and then she came twice to the youth ministry. The second time she was there, at that point in time, we had a BMX skate park ministry, and I remember Brittany and my daughter sitting up on a ramp, and out of the blue, Brittany just says, hey, can I move in with you? and we always had kids at our house, and so I was just like, sure, you can move in with us.
And I was like, no, really.
And
I really need a place to live.
And then I realized, yeah, she's pretty serious about this, so I better talk to my husband. And I did, and it was just always kind of a dream, particularly of his, to have a foster child. And then the day came where Brittany called me. I was actually at Walmart shopping, I'll never forget it. And Brittany called me from a friend's cell phone, and she was pretty panicked. And she overheard her foster parents talking about not knowing what to do with Brittany. And so Brittany thought that they were going to throw her on the street. And so I contacted your grandmother, and I said, I think we need to do something. We had talked about waiting until she completed her school year, but we realized that it was kind of urgent that we do it right away. So actually, through a series of events that took place, we ended up showing up at the house after talking to the authorities and getting permission to, that Brittany was 18, so she could make her own decisions. So at 8:30 at night on a Thursday night, we pull in the driveway, and Brittany actually just happened to be coming out of the house, and she was in our headlights, and you walked over to the vehicle, and I said, Brittany, what is your wishes?
What are your wishes?
And she said, I want to come with you. And so it was the foster parents were obviously very surprised, and they weren't very happy, but they allowed Brittany to come with us. So so Brittany came to our house. Actually, this is the very kitchen you came to. And we had a cake that said, welcome home, Brittany. And that was the day one of Brittany living with us.
And she came with nothing.
And she
correct?
came with nothing. So at 8:30 at night, we're running into Kohl's, and each of the girls were headed to a different part of the store to find shoes and clothing and what she needed for school the next day. And then the next morning, I took her to school. I had to drive her to CD, and I was kind of like, what did we just do?
Yeah.
What are we getting ourselves into?
It was a weird feeling.
So we show up at CV school, and we went to the guidance office, and the guidance counselor was there. And Brittany walked in and said, I have a new family. This is my mom. And the guidance counselor started to cry.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget that. And she said, I have prayed for Brittany every single day. I was worried about her. And so that was reassuring for me to know that we were doing the right thing. Her senior year of high school, I remember partway through her first marking period, Brittany came to me and said, Mom, I've never had all passing grades. Ever in my school career, I've never had passing grades. And she had gotten her progress report that was showing that she was doing well. And then you graduated, went on to beauty school, and is still is doing hair even to this day. Met her high school sweetheart in high school. A year after Brittany graduated from high school, her boyfriend proposed, and I remember Brittany, we were planning the wedding, and 3 months before she was getting married, she came to my husband and I, and she said, when you walk me down the aisle, Dad, I want you to be my dad. And is there any way you can adopt me? And I remember thinking, I don't know how you adopt an adult, but we called an attorney, and we actually found out that some of what had happened to Brittany was illegal, and as a result of that, she had a failed adoption, and therefore we were able to adopt her. So on June 23rd of 2014, Brittany officially became our daughter, and when you got married in September, Gus, my husband, was actually your dad.
Then what was the moment that you came to the realization that you could do something bigger here with Bethany House?
So when Brittany came into our lives, in all honesty, we didn't know what we were doing. We were just here to provide love and support, and we were amazed at how well Brittany responded to that and the huge difference it made in her life. And it caused me to begin to question how many other young ladies and young men are out there in the same situation, where all they need is a lot of love, a lot of support, a lot of encouragement, the right tools, and their life can get turned around, and they can pursue their dreams and do what they were meant to do with their life. We know that in our area, in Harrisburg as well as in Newville, there are 2 homes that are very similar to this home that are providing the same space that we are. So we came to learn of a ministry in Newville that was providing a home for young men, and as soon as I heard that, I was like, that's my dream. I would love to be able to provide a space for young ladies to come to go to that need a place to live, that can get supportive services, that can learn about themselves and what their plans are for the future, and be able to just dream, because I feel like so many foster kids don't have that opportunity to dream. They're just surviving, really.
What are some of the struggles you faced as far as getting this up and running and getting support and financial support and that kind of thing?
So my husband and I were living in this house. We became pretty much empty nesters. We realized that we didn't need this house. It had 4 bedrooms, and what if my husband and I moved out of this house and we were able to convert this to a home for young ladies who were aging out of the foster care system. But then we were wondering about the funding. How are we going to be able to afford this, and what does this look like exactly? And because the house needed some major renovations. And there's a gentleman who's been supportive of our ministry for some time, and he came to us one day and said, is there anything you need funding for? And so we made a list, some small things, up to kind of my dream is, well, let's renovate the house to be a place for these young ladies. And I gave him the list, and he was willing to invest in that. We've had a lot of actual support for the ministry, because there's a lot of people out there who just want to get behind this. They see the need for it and recognize the value of it. So it's been really exciting to see the community kind of come together and get behind this cause.
So what other services, besides having a place for these young ladies to live, what other things are you hoping that?
So the idea is that they'll come here. They can stay for as short as a year. They can stay for up to 3 years.
Okay.
And when they enter into the program, they're entering into it's more than just a place to live. They are going to recognize that I'm in a place in my life where I want to see change, where I'm willing to invest some of my own effort and energy to get that change. And so we're going to offer some life skills. We're going to offer budgeting and financial planning for them, as well as any kind of supportive services that they could benefit from in the community in a way that helps them to become self-sufficient. So it's something that we're really passionate about, is not having them become dependent on systems that are in place for them, but to be self-sufficient. And we want to be able to help them to do that. And then also employment skills, career counseling. If they want to go to college, we will support them in that and help them to complete their FAFSA and get the financial aid that they need, really to help them to dream. But we realize that when they come into the home, they're probably going to need some time to just decompress and process all that they've been through, and we want to give them space and time to do that. So if that means helping them connect with a counselor or support group in some way, we're going to do that for them as well.
Awesome. And is there a qualification process or something they have to do to be able get into Bethany House?
The qualification is just that they have to be a young lady who is aging out of the foster care system or experiencing homelessness. So we might have young ladies who were never in foster care, but they're between the ages of 18 and 25, and they might be homeless or at risk to be homeless. And they're willing to agree to the services that we'll have in place.
And Brittany, I have a couple questions for you. So, what were you feeling like when you knew that it was getting to the point where you were 18 and you had to figure out what you were going to do and where you were going to live? And
in foster care, like, you don't have a job, so I wasn't working a job. I was wondering how I would support myself. I knew that I couldn't support myself, so I was really scared. Just the fear of the unknown.
Right.
Like, what's going to happen to me.
And it's apparent that meeting the Morenos has changed your life, but can you share what it feels like to be part of a family, finally?
Cut it. I don't even know what to say to this. Honestly, I almost feel like I've always been here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I remember not having a family, but these are happy tears. I just feel like I've been here all this whole time. Like, I don't feel like I've never not been a Merino. Does that make sense? I remember what it was like to not have a family, and of course that sucked, and you were always like, why do all these kids have families and I don't? But I'm just really thankful.
So what do you want your role to be here?
What is my role here? I basically get to hang out with the girls and be like,
Right.
Foster care sucked, didn't it? Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And like, I just get to be like somebody who has been through it. So it's not like they're speaking to somebody who's never done it and has no idea and just being like, oh, it's okay,
Right.
it's gonna be all right.
Yeah, so Brittany's our resident liaison. And so she will meet the girls. She'll be the face that meets the girls immediately. She'll get to know them. She'll also be able to kind of call it out. Having been through it herself, she'll be able to kind of see through to the truth and dig below the surface. But she'll also be the relational aspect of the ministry, where she'll just form the relationships and be a listening ear and be able to share her story as well.
I'll just be a friend.
Thank you both very much.